So when I started my first online business in 1996, I stumbled onto something. So back then, I knew almost nothing about marketing and even less about sales. But I was successful right from the start because I stumbled onto this thing, and it was a word I like to use for it is campaign. Another word you'll often see me use is sequence. And the idea is that you can't depend on any single piece of marketing, on a single video, on a single sales letter, on a single webinar to make the conversion. Because, well, this is like the first thing you learn in marketing is you have to have multiple touches. I mean, conventional wisdom used to be it took 7 to 9 touches before someone made the purchase. I don't know what the number is now. That was just a theoretical number, but I do know that the more times you can reach out and communicate with someone, the better you do. My first launch, I did a big build up to it, and frankly, I didn't call it a launch back then, but when I came out with my first product, and I guess it was a launch, I did $1,650 in sales, and that was absolutely amazing, mind-blowing to me. And I had a whole sequence, a whole campaign leading up into the sale. Now, one thing I didn't do then was I didn't have a real follow-up campaign. And between that first promotion and the second promotion, I put together a follow-up campaign with a deadline. And my sales went from $1,650 to a little over $6,000. So that was a 4 times increase by having a follow-up campaign, by having a follow-up sequence. Now, back in those days, it was purely email. That was pretty much the only tool I had, the only way I had to communicate with people. These days, we've got a lot more sophisticated. You can reach out via social, and there are so many more tools that we can use. You can do a live broadcast. You can use a message bot. You can on and on and on. There's so many different options, but the math stays the same. That you're going to get 50 to 70% of your sales after whatever the campaign is. So you open cart and a launch, great. You make some sales right at the open cart, but it's the follow-up during the open cart period. You do a webinar, fantastic. You make some sales, but that's only a small portion of the sales you can make if you have the right follow-up. The reality is this has gotten more important as the entire marketing world has gotten noisier. There's a lot more people competing for people's attention. It's a lot harder to reach people in their inbox. It's a lot harder to reach people via paid ads. It's a lot harder to reach people via social. They're only seeing a tiny fraction of the messages that are coming at them. That's just the reality. There's more noise. So when there's more noise, you have to make sure that your follow-up campaign is even stronger. That's where all the gold is. That's where all the sales are. So do not make the mistake of just because you do a webinar and you make a few sales thinking you're done. You release a sales letter, you make a few sales, you think you're done. Because at that point, you are just starting. That's when the sales process really starts, is when the webinar ends. It's when that email goes out. That's just the beginning. So think in campaigns, think in sequences. So I'm Jeff Walker. Wherever you're watching this, scroll down, leave a comment for me, and let's go get them this week.